Gowan Bank, Oulton, Warwickshire. Nature Notes for 1906 by Edith B. Holden. To sit on rocks, to muse o'er flood and fell, to slowly trace the forest's shady scene where things that own not man's dominion dwell, and mortal foot hath ne'er or rarely been, to climb the trackless mountain all unseen, with the wild flock that never need a fold, alone o'er steeps and foaming falls to lean. This is not solitude, 'tis but to hold converse with nature's charms and view her stores unrolled. The Anglo-Saxon name for November was Blot Monarth, blood month. The latter name probably alluding to the custom of slaughtering cattle about Martinmas for winter consumption.
Dear Edith, I know you have worries enough with Ernest away, but I feel I should tell you that Kenneth is unwell again. The doctor says his fever is due to a form of food poisoning. I know he would like to see you if it was possible. Yours ever, Winnie.
November the 1st. Steady drizzle of rain. A regular November day. November the 3rd. I brought home a little book on British toadstools today, with photographs of 65 different varieties. In the afternoon, I went to the violet wood to see how many different kinds I could discover. It was quite hot in the sun, and the autumn foliage looked beautiful in the warm afternoon light. In about half an hour's time, I found 10 different species of fungus growing in the wood and adjoining field, all brown in colour with the exception of 2. One of these was the common sulphur tuft, a rich orange and yellow. Sulphur tuft, found plentifully among dead wood. The other was a dull pink above and a beautiful pale heliotrope beneath. I only found 1 clump of these, 1 or 2 of them very large in size.
Winnie?
Bernard!
While Kenneth has been recuperating from his unexplained illness in Algeria, Arthur Matheson, myself and several other colleagues have managed to pull the business together. We are all shareholders in the company and we are not prepared to see Kenneth come back and wreck it once more. He must not be allowed to resume his position as managing director.
Bernard, you mustn't think that by doing Ken's job for a few months that you know everything there is to know. Ken is older and more experienced than you by many years.
Kenneth is sick. Kenneth has always been sick. He will never be well enough to do the job properly and he must step down. If whenever he returns he is allowed to continue as he did before, then it will be the end of the company. I am warning you now. I will do everything in my power to prevent that.
Bernard.
Edith, I have tried and failed to make you see what's happening. You are too devoted to Kenneth to see any wrong in him.
It's over, Edith. The younger men have banded together against Kenneth. I don't think that I am able to do anything to help him.
November the 10th. Went out fungi hunting again. The pale yellow fronds of bracken looked very pretty in the wood, growing among the dark bramble leaves. In the open part of the meadow, I gathered some of the common polyporus from the side of a rotten stump, and a delicate little stag's horn fungi, or clavaria. I found a very handsome species growing in tiers up the trunk of a beech tree. It was dark blue above and pure white below, the gills being curiously waved and coruscated, giving them the effect of white coral. The road was quite yellow in places with fallen elm leaves. 1 or 2 sharp frosts would strip the trees bare, although many of the leaves are still quite green.
Bernard is clever. Unscrupulous, even. For years, I have been appointing workers as directors to the Board of Management. They have always been happy to step down to make room for their fellows. But my fear is, now that Bernard's friends will refuse to step down.
Edith?
Frank! How is he?
As well as can be expected. We want you to come and stay with us. Evelyn's very anxious about you, and well, Winnie has everything else in hand. There's really nothing else you can do to help.
That's a very kind offer, Frank, but I think it would just be too awkward. I think it's better if Evelyn and I don't meet. I shall stay with Winnie as planned.
Winnie. Oh, Edith, dear, I'm so glad you could come.
How are you? I never seem to see you except in a family crisis.
Where is he? He's in the garden, resting. These endless court cases have weakened him so much, I'm afraid he might not have the strength to fight this illness off.
I'm all right, Edie. You shouldn't have come all this way. You have enough worries with Ernest. It's ironic, isn't it? After all that time in Algeria, I should have to go to Stratford to catch a fever. Still, in Algeria, I shouldn't have had Winnie to take care of me. I shall soon pull through, though. Evelyn says it's all nerves.
She never had much time for ills of the spirit.
She'll soon be here with her own particular brand of comfort.
Winnie will defend you.
No doubt. But I make no pretense at valor. And I should be grateful if you tell her I'm not to be disturbed.
I can't bear to see her again. I shall go for a walk. I wonder, are there still kingfishers in that little pool near Oulton Station?
Never walk that way now.
I used to watch the sunsets from there.
Dear Edie. Your visions suit your nature. Mine are bleaker.
November the 13th. Went for an early morning walk across the fields to Edwardian Lane to make some sketches of a blackbird and thrush at a cottage there. It was a grey, perfectly still morning with a slight fog that veiled the distant woods and trees in a purple mist. Many of the trees were quite bare, but the oaks still have their foliage and were all shades of bronze and brown. The hedges and banks too were glowing with the golden tints of nut leaves and bracken, and everywhere there was a delicious autumn scent of fallen leaves. November the 14th. I saw a kingfisher fly across the little pool by the roadside below Oulton Station today. The new catkins are showing on all the hazel and alder trees now. The sun had a most remarkable appearance just before setting tonight. I never saw it look so large in my life. It was deep crimson, shaded with purple, which gave it a globular appearance, and it looked like a huge fire balloon suspended against a curtain of grey cloud.
Kenneth.
The year lies dying in this evening light. The poet, musing in autumnal woods, hears melancholy sighs among the withered leaves.
Shh. Don't waken him.
But surely he must want to be woken. Supposing he died in his sleep.
That's a heartless thought.
Oh, Evelyn, I'm sorry to sound crotchety. I'll go outside and get some fresh air until he wakes up.
Like a spirit glorified, the angel of the year departs, lays down his robes, once green in spring or bright with summer's blue. And having done his mission on the earth, filling 10,000 vales with rosy corn, orchards with rosy fruit, and scattering flowers around, he lingers for a moment in the west. With the declining sun, sheds over all a pleasant farewell smile, and so returns to God.
Edith? I'm sorry.
I was there to kiss him for the last time.
But he knew very little about it, Edith. Don't blame yourself for wandering off.
I'd like to sit with him now.
He looks so peaceful.
The will is what counts. It shows clearly enough what Father intended.
Nevertheless, the deed poll was never revoked. It cannot be now, and therefore, technically, Matheson and the others are directors for life.
Are you really going to stand upon that?
Of course.
Then I shall fight you to the highest court.
Goodness. I hope a little common sense will prevail before that.
And what is common sense? You would agree with Bernard, whatever he said, isn't that so?
Well, if I must choose.
Then I am alone.
No.
So there we are then. Family split declared. While Kenneth was managing director, receiving the unthinking support of my father, the firm nearly went bankrupt.
And how would you say the business fared while your brother was abroad for some years?
It improved. Substantially.
After your father's death, you returned, I believe, to take up your old position as managing director.
Yes, that was what I tried to do. That was clearly the intention of my father's will.
Would you tell the court what then happened?
Certainly. Several of my colleagues, including, I regret to say, my brother Bernard, decided to ignore the terms of the will. Bernard's colleagues had been appointed as temporary members to the board of management by my father.
Through a deed poll signed by him?
Yes. It was a scheme my father ran to give every worker in the factory an opportunity to serve on the board of management. But when my father died, Bernard's colleagues refused to step down, claiming that the deed poll was still valid.
I just finished my evening meal and had settled down to a quiet pipe when my privacy was invaded by the arrival of my brother and two of his advisors. They declared a directors' meeting with my brother in the chair and proceeded to allot unissued shares to their own friends and supporters. Well, the next morning when I arrived at the works, I found posters stating that my colleagues and I were no longer directors.
You agree with Bernard Holden's statement?
It is difficult to comment on the facts, as I have been living in London for most of the time in question. However, my brother Kenneth has always been the kindest of men, with a most generous disposition. I find it impossible to imagine him in the thuggish role in which he has been cast in this courtroom.
Mrs. Matthews, would you agree with your sister's assessment of your brother Kenneth's behavior?
No, I certainly cannot pretend that my brother Kenneth behaved normally, even within the family. He was nervous, irritable, and prone to the most unreasonable suspicions.
The conclusion of this court is that both these documents are valid. The deed poll was not and cannot be now revoked because of the death of the instigator. As no time limit appears in this document, those appointed by it will be directors for life. Arthur Holden's will appoints Kenneth and Bernard Holden to be directors with a time limit of 10 years. There is therefore uncertainty as to the manner of practical control of the company. May I suggest, at the earliest opportunity, you call a meeting of the shareholders, who can, if they wish, pass a resolution forbidding Kenneth Holden from acting as a director. Provided he has paid his director's remuneration, he can take no further action against you.
All rise, please.
November the 26th. Cycled to Solihull and back through the lanes past the oak woods. The sun was shining brightly, lighting up the dying fronds of bracken among the undergrowth. I heard a thrush singing most sweetly in the big beech tree at the top of Kyneton Lane. Sing on, sweet thrush, upon the leafless bough. Sing on, sweet bird. I listen to thy strain, and aged winter, mid his early reign, at thy blithe carol clears his furrowed brow.
Is it very bad news, Winnie? But not Ernest. God would not cheat me so.
It's Kenneth, my love.
Oh. I knew he was terribly ill. His face was so grey. I saw his face in my dreams. So sad. So sad.
When Frank and I were married here, we were all so happy. You go on. I'd like to walk. Do come with us.
Evelyn.
Like as the thrush in winter, when the skies are drear and dark and all the woods are bare, sings undismayed, till from his melodies odours of spring float through the frozen air. So, in my heart, when sorrow's icy breath is bleak and bitter and its frost is strong, leaps up, defiant of despair and death, a sunlit fountain of triumphant song.
Is it from Ernest?
Yes. I'd know that handwriting anywhere.
He's well. Oh, thank heavens. Pray God he comes home soon. I shall have to write and tell him about Kenneth.
Oh, don't do it yet. Just be relieved you've heard from him.
Yes. Yes, I shall.
And when you do write, you can say at least that the family is speaking to each other again. You'll need every shred of good news there is.